AKPABIO. He's the chairman of Akwa Ibom Tourism Board. In fact, Akwa Ibom State Hotel and Tourism Board.
Thank you.
Because he told me during the break, hotel is part of tourism and hotels.
I think so.
Welcome.
It is.
Should I say congratulations? That's it.
Well, it is in order. Thank you. It is in order.
Yes. Congratulations. So we hope that Akwa Ibom State would, you would lend your years of experience and all the talk we talk here
on tourism.
On tourism in your state. So congrats and welcome again to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
Chika Nwozuzu is our policy analyst here on the program. He's been gone for a while. I don't know where to. I actually asked him during the break, did he run for any position?
Not at all.
He said no, because, people are running now. No. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nancy.
Let's get started. On Monday, we started with the northern zone, northeast, northwest, and north central. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record now, because on Monday, I did tell our viewers that the whole of this week I'll be looking at geopolitical zones of the country, the economic challenges, why haven't we developed more than we should develop vis-a-vis the amount of monies we come to Abuja to get, the resources, both natural, human, and mineral resources. So today and tomorrow I'll be speaking about South, and Southeast. So welcome again, gentlemen. Let me start by asking, even as we prepare for these elections, March 9, how critical are these state elections? Because we need to also divert the attention away from Abuja, the central. Not all the time Buhari and his cohorts. We should also speak about state and state governments, state governors. So, Mr. AKPABIO, can you lend your voice to that?
Yes, I can. I would like to say that the 9th March elections are very critical to the economic well-being of all of us as Nigerians. Let's start with the fact that a country is made up of subsections, and the one we can look at are the states. So whatever the problems of a country, they start from the states. And so when you have good governance at the states, a lot of the problems we collectively have as a country are vastly reduced. And I'm looking at the fact that in going for elections, we must voting persons at all levels. We are going to have the state houses of assembly election, and that's the grassroots mobilizers. And so we have to vote in persons that have a sense of economic capacity to deliver to the states, whether as legislatives, or even the governor himself. Because the governor is the chief executive officer of the states. And we have seen across the many states of Nigeria that regardless of the financial capacity of the states, some states have done better than other states. And I'm sure this is due to the governance capacity of the person elected as the governor of these states. So it's very, very important that those who are going to vote should look at the caliber of the persons they are voting for. Will they improve their economic situation? Will they bring up the standards of living of the people of the states?
Okay, Mr. Nwozuzu, let me bring you in here, because Mr. AKPABIO has established that what you just said on good governance, that people should vote those they think that have the capacity. Now, the question for me actually is, for those people that will be on the ballot papers, represented by parties on Saturday, are we seeing people that have the capacity, or are we seeing people that the parties pushed because of one thing or the other, those because of popularity, or are we seeing money politics in front for those that will be on the ballot? I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, I do.
So is it just about people that have the capacity that will be out on Saturday, or other factors contribute to those that will be on the ballot papers on Saturday?
Well, Nancy, I think it's important that we, if if I'm going to zero in on what my brother has said here, you are saying people that have the capacity. I mean, do we really have that mentality in our voting system in this country? Unfortunately, the answer is capital no. Now, people are actually going to vote based on who is close to them, whether it's someone that can do the job or not able to do the job, or who they may have been coerced into voting for. Coercion in the sense that it could be some form of inducement, much as we're saying that buying of votes is not something that we really appreciate. Unfortunately, if in a sane society, we should be looking at capacity. And I believe that we're looking at Nancy's show. Nancy's show is all about the economy. You're looking at the well-being of the country. I want to ask a question: how many of these contestants are statistically correct on issues outside being politically correct? Unfortunately, we don't have so many of them. I mean, you've invited me to, I guess because I'm from the southeast,
yes.
so I'm going to zero myself to the southeast,
yes.
while I live the south-south.
Yes.
While I live the south-south, but I could also come into the south-south because it's all. If you look at the southeast, you're going to have election in 4, gubernatorial election in 4
states,
leaving Anambra, because Anambra is more or less, they're going to have theirs 2-3 years from now. If I start with Imo State, it's really a contentious area because you have very strong candidates from ABGA, from APC, from AA, Action Alliance, from PDP.
Okay.
Action Alliance is the party of the son-in-law, Nwozuzu. You have PDP, where you have a very strong guy there, Meka Ihedioha, the former deputy speaker. APC, you have another strong person, Senator Hope Uzodimma. In ABGA, you have Senator Ifeanyi Ararume. And then in Accord Party, you have Ikedion Hakim, who incidentally was the governor that handed over to, was defeated by Rochas. Now, the issue is this: having this array of strong personalities, what do you expect the people to do? I would have expected a very strong debate so that you get the best. I would have also expected that people move on from the normal politics of, now you have Action Alliance candidate left the APC some few weeks before the submission of the paper. So what must have happened? Now, if you go to Enugu, you also have, I don't know whether that is confirmed, but they were saying that Senator Ayogo Eze may have been disqualified as a result of a court, whatever. So he's contesting against Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. That Ibom State also is another area that you're looking at, much as we've heard that some candidates have stepped down for Dave Umahi. And you're moving on. Then you get to Abia State, is another strong area where you have Victor Okezie-Ikpeazu with OT, and then Diamond Bank, and then also the master, one of those, the young guy. So you're having all these people and they look intelligent. Now, you cannot measure intelligence by the fact that we've known that OT was in the bank. We need to know what and what everyone is going to put on the table.
Now, can you measure that, or how can you measure that? That's one. Then two, do you think that citizens or indigenes of the Southeast now, since we are concentrating on the Southeast, will take antecedents of these candidates to the polls? Because just like you said, Dave Umahi of Ebonyi, Abakaliki is the capital of Ebonyi State, representing the PDP. You go over to Imo, you've listed all the candidates there. Ararume, the former Emeka Ihedioha, Rochas' son-in-law, and, you know, all of them. Do you think that people would take the antecedents to the polls, or it's just about perhaps who can dole more money out? That's one, because money politics is within the system, whether we like it or not, though we are discouraging that. Or who is more political, that can gather more popularity against the other person?
Well, Nancy, it's if you actually, if I take you a bit outside, if you are watching the scenario now in China, you know, the National People's Party, they're having their convention, and everyone knows that the dwindling economy, you know, China is more or less like having some difficulties in some areas, and the focus at this point in time is on the economy. Not just that, if you look at the American election, the focus is on economy globally. I would have expected a situation where it's not just a question, I want to be the governor. I want to be in the House of Assembly. I want to be this, I want to be that. What do you know about the state you want to represent? But unfortunately, I've always said this and I will continue to say it. You know, if I repeat it 20 times, it's still relevant. That all politics is local. We may not assume the sense of politics in the United States or the sense of politics in China, and then I think that someone in Imo State or in Abia State or in Akwa Ibom State will. Now we measure popularity, we measure strength by the number of people who attend our political rallies, which is unfortunate. And the mistake is this, that most contestants forget that the same person who attends Party A rally will also be in Party B rally. Okay? Now, if you measure, and that's why when you look at it, say, look at Kano. I was just watching, I listened to chairman of PDP then. Did you see what happened in Kano? And when the result came, Kano was a bit different from, I'm talking of presidential election. I also heap a very strong blame. Nancy, I'm coming to hit you guys, the journalists. Unfortunately, Nancy, you know how much money people spend in the United States when it comes to election, and the people that reap pretty high, the media houses. They don't give the money to anybody. All this media hype is just for them to bring out money. They remind them of what they said even 40 years ago. How many times? Journalists these days are jostling for the position of chief press secretary. So they hide a lot of information. People are not being educated. Somebody said, I want to be governor. What is the revenue base of your state? What is your debt profile of your state? So these are the issues that we need to bring out. And God has given you people that strength and the wisdom. Why are you people not using it? You invite people to come for interviews. Do they even come for debate? It's unfortunate.
You invite people, they don't
Yeah,
come.
then what you should do is, you do what they do in advanced countries. You pick on them. But unfortunately, we don't do that, because if we do that, then you know what it means. So everyone, we really have a problem. I'm really worried as to the states I've mentioned. And I also want to say that if you talk of sustainable development, which is something that is on board now, you have 17 goals and then 169 targets. Now, how many of these state governors know quite well that you need to localize these sustainable development goals? And that's why I pointed at him. I looked at his governor, which I have so much respect for. You may not see what he's doing now because he may not have been as flamboyant as the one that he succeeded. But he's coming up with Ibom Air has come on stream, the pencil this, then something that is very unique, the metering industry. If he focuses on that, that would be wonderful. Much as we may hate Rochas, I'm not in his political party, but I think in terms of infrastructural development, the only thing is that what level of that development are sustainable. But those things are there. And you have all these state governors. We need to pick them. So I think maybe let me stop.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. AKPABIO,
yes.
Because after you respond, we'll go on a break where we'll take a report put together by Helena Olori. Now, talked about the Southeast. Talk about the South-South, because if you take a look at the South-South, I think in terms of land mass, it's about 7.5% land mass of the total country. But the country's economic mainstay is from the South-South, Niger Delta, more of it from the Niger Delta, talking about oil, talking about gas, so much gas reserves that, in fact, that's even where we should be going to, because that should be earning us billions of dollars, if you translate it to Naira, trillions of Naira, yet we are not harnessing it. Yet the economy of the South-South or the Niger Delta region is still very down there, about 28% poverty rate in the zone. How do we address this? The political leaders of the South-South, do you think that they've done enough?
Yes, I'd like to start from where he stopped. We are looking at the capacity of our governors or those we vote into power. I even wanted to say that we should start with the parties. Nigerians actually most times vote for parties, not for individuals. And so the first port of call is the party structure. When you want someone to represent you as a governor, have you looked at his capacity to govern? Because as a political party, you must get persons at all levels of the structure that can keep your flag flying. So if you are going to get a governor, I think the political parties should be the first people to do this due diligence. Who do we put forward to become our candidates at the state level, at the federal level, at the senatorial level, and also as a governor and even as a president? Have we done due diligence? After that, can we sell these persons? Because when you look at a country like Nigeria, by and large, the only thing you're looking at is you either vote for APC or PDP. All the other parties come just peripherally, no matter how good a person is. So if we can get the political parties to do this, it's going to help us a lot. Then the second aspect is we are looking at the South-South. Yes, the South-South has a lot of resident potential, and we are the people keeping the economy alive. But you must ask yourself, how much of the monies come to the South states? That's number one. The little monies that come to the South states, what are the abilities of the governors to translate this into sustainable development? And that's what he was saying. Because if you look at my state in particular, Akwa Ibom state, the last administration, that's before Udom Emmanuel, had a lot of money. But then possibly if you look on the ground, outside infrastructure, which may not even be commensurate with the money we had, you see that sustainable development was not something that was understood. Let me put it like that, in agreement with it. Because what is sustainable development? It starts with human capacity development. You must develop your people. You can build roads, you can build houses, and then you have illiterates who come and damage them and can't keep them afloat, and you've not succeeded in anything. So we've not done. Human capacity development is very low across the southern states. You talk today of oil. All the oil industries and so on, are they manned a lot by people from the south?
Should it be manned by people from the south?
Well, we should, because
by competent people.
Why
competent people from the south.
You are saying the same thing.
No, we are not saying the
same thing. Why I'm saying you are saying the same thing. Look, if what you have is what you train your people on, if you live by the sea and your economic mainstay is on getting fish from the distance, you better train your people to be skilled fishermen, skilled in oceanography, skilled in anything to do with the ocean.
Skilled to know how to process the fish.
Exactly. So that's what I'm
export,
saying.
Yeah.
For us now, if we have oil and gas, our governors must train our persons to be skilled in those areas. If we have the capacity for tourism, which is my forte, these South states must train their people in those directions, so that if you now say, look, we want to develop the coastal line or whatever you want to develop, they have skills. And so it's not translated like that. And why has it not translated like that? A lot of governors come in and they are overwhelmed with the little money they see. And the money just goes into politics. This goes possibly across all the states, but it's even more, it's a bit worse in the southern states and the oil-producing states, where you may have more money than other states. And so when we look at the capacity of the governors in most of these states to translate the monies they have to sustainably develop the activities, you see that they don't do that. Instead, we are looking at very grandiose investments, you know, things that don't really
then do the
matter.
the people of the zone, do they really hold their leaders accountable? That's the issue for the second part. Let's quickly take this break.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll be right back. Let's take
That's a good one.
Let's take this report put together by Helena Olori on the socio-economic development of Nigeria's southern and eastern geopolitical zones, which still remains critical for Nigeria's economic well-being, as the regions are definitely homes to the nation's major source of foreign exchange, as well as the hub of manufacturing of goods and services in the country. Consequently, as Nigerians approach the governorship elections come March 9, citizens are advised to exercise their franchise, bringing to the front burner positions the various socio-economic issues affecting their region. Helena Olori in this report highlights the major challenges affecting the South, and the Southeast states of Nigeria.
Despite being the wealth capital of Nigeria, the South-South region, also known as the Niger Delta, is yet to see an impressive socio-economic development commensurate with the value of its mineral resources, especially Nigeria's black gold crude oil. In the same vein, Nigeria's eastern region, comprising Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states can be said to be commercial hub of the nation, with Abia State producing over 50% of locally made goods and services consumed in the country. The region is also known for its vast deposits of coal, glass sand, limestone, and cash crops like palm fruits. With the exception of Ebonyi State, which has poverty level at 73.6%, the southern and eastern states are some of the richest states in the country with lower levels of poverty prevalence. However, the southern states, namely Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Rivers, Delta, and Edo states have been plagued by environmental degradation arising from oil spillage and gas flaring as a result of government and multinational oil exploration in the area. Over the years, these activities have hampered livelihood in the region as farms and rivers are laid waste, thus raising the unemployment level in the region. For the eastern states, infrastructural development is grossly inadequate and remains a bane to local production of goods and services. Other major challenges for both regions include energy poverty, poor governance, and service delivery. According to reports, despite the enormous energy reserves of the Niger Delta, government and private enterprises meet less than 10% of the energy needs of the region. Furthermore, the socio-economic disintegration of the region can be linked to poor governance as politicized policies have impeded real economic growth and inclusion. As Nigerians eagerly await the governorship elections coming up March 9th, these and many more are issues that must be addressed in order for the region to see maximum economic development. Helena Olori, reporting for Moneyline with Nancy.
Thank you, Helena, for that report. Now, I asked before that report that if the citizens are holding these people to the jugular and saying, we sent you there 4 years ago, this was how much that you've gotten so far. How much have you spent? What have you done?
Me? Okay. No,
Is it a funny question?
Nancy, that's a good question. I think that's a good question. Nancy, okay. The thing is this. He who must go into equity must go with cleanliness. I mean, the people ordinarily should have actually held those people. But then, when the person came to you to say he was actually going to contest, what did you demand of him? Let's be honest.
You demanded what?
You asked for money. You didn't say, oh, I'm going to vote for you because you really are the right person. So, and they spent so much amount of money. So, what do you expect? He gets there, he wants to recoup his money. But let's get back to people's demand. Some of the people outside the money they paid will want to develop their state. But our sense of reason these days in development in Nigeria is that we want to do those things that are viable. That's why someone in Nasarawa State will want to build an airport.
Well, there's an airport in Abuja.
You have an airport in Abuja. What's the distance? So I think it's very important that the people also, much as I blame the judge, I also blame the people. The people demand so much of these elected leaders that sometimes they want to. I was talking about Imo State. You now have seen that the road network expansion, because a lot of people want to build. You already have a plan and say you don't build at so and so time. If you are putting up a structure, move back. Some people want to bring it in. So when the governor decided to do that, were the people happy? No, they were not happy. They felt that, look, you should have allowed it. Yes, you should have, but what happens tomorrow?
Are the people also inhibited from asking those critical questions, bearing in mind the level of literacy of the people? That's one. Also bearing in mind the state at which the governors or their leaders leave them as. Number three, or the leaders come in an intimidating manner. Because you see, for example, I always say it on the show, for governors, they are not different from us sitting here on the table. When you are no longer a leader or a governor, you will see that there's nothing else there. Yeah. You are not even relevant. People will see you, they may not say hi to you. So for you to be a governor and you see people coming, oh, your SSS or DSS people are like shoving people, you are in a tinted car and all of that, you don't even see the people that you are governing. You should know that after 4 years or highest 8 years, that facade is gone. you come back again and you experience what the normal people are experiencing. The question now is, perhaps our leaders come in that kind of intimidating form, is the people that will vote them, but at the end of the day, they will not have access to them anymore. Or they say, you're asking questions, you don't have respect, why are you talking like that? Like, those are the issues.
I will contribute, let him finish.
Yeah, the issues are very interesting, but let's get this thing correctly. In Nigeria, virtually all the states, there is a high level of poverty. Once you have poverty, you can write roughly over the people. And so that's the first thing we must understand in this holding our leaders accountable. We have a lot of very impoverished people, and just like my colleague said, when you are paying them to vote for you, then you are taking decisions regardless of what they think. And they cannot hold you responsible. So that's the first thing. The second aspect is that a lot of these persons too are not highly educated. So that again makes it impossible for you to hold the leadership accountable. But then, let's even look at the leaders. We were talking of leaders. Look at, I was discussing with a Rwandan just about 2 days ago. And we know Rwanda is the bride of Africa now. Yes. And he was telling me that they have a benevolent dictator as a president. I'm quoting him, and I didn't mention his name, but that's what he said. But what we are saying is that unless your governor, your president, has the goodness to want to impact to us who are the followership, in developing countries, nothing gets done. And so what we should be looking at, to choose leaders that exhibit that goodness, leaders that can use some aspects of dictatorship and do the right thing. And then don't listen, because the persons we are talking about who said, no, don't do this, don't do that, they're in the minority. There are those who want these things for their selfish interest. But for the majority of persons, look at something like the airports. What do the masses have to do with the decision to start an airport in a state? Who are those that are going to get benefits from the airport? They are mostly those who are higher up, and they are very few. And so if you are a governor, you must then say, let me take decisions based on what is good for the majority of my people. And so back to your question, we may not just be looking at leaders in terms of even their academic qualifications, where they have worked, and so on and so forth. We must look for leaders with the capacity to govern, matched with an integrity level that when you put those two together, many things will work. We need somebody that just has that capacity to organize people. When you talk of billionaires in this world, they are not the most academically brilliant. They are not the most in anything, but they may be the best in putting together a team and allowing the team to do the job. Talking of places like my states, like you have mentioned, yes, we have a governor who was an executive director in a very big bank. And possibly, if the party was doing a kind of investigation, they will say, look, this counts in favor of you being a very good economic leader. And I'm sure the other states, I think Alex Zotti was also in the bank.
Diamond Bank.
Diamond Bank, yes. So in answer to your question, when you look at these persons, we will always feel that maybe they could be very good governors, at least when economy is concerned. But then, even if you're a good economic manager, you must also be a good political manager. And so, given governance, a lot of these things play together.
No, Nancy, I think the issue is most of these people who get into these positions are looking at what the people want. And even when you get, it takes, the battle that your governor has faced. At the point people were saying that he's tight-fisted and all those. Is that all? I think I prefer a situation where you teach the people how to fish other than giving them fish every day. Yeah. Much as you mentioned, look at the state. If I just take just a little time to look at the 5 southeastern states. If you get to Anambra State, you cannot but marvel at the level of road infrastructural development. There was a day I was driving from Owerri to go to, I really cried when I got to Oka. Fantastic. So you started from, even Chris Ngige, the short time he was there as a governor, he did pretty well. P2B was excellent. Excellent in all ramifications. And Obiano continued in that stride. You set up a standard and it followed. Now, if you look at Enugu State traditionally is the capital of the Southeast, whether anybody likes it or not. And it has been relatively peaceful. And they also have the governor doing pretty well. Nnamani, Chimaroke Nnamani was very good at attracting industries. That's why you had the Ama Breweries and some other industry that came. We need to, you don't have to all the time depend on the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. You must come up with this. Look at Imo State. Imo State, of course, the good news is that Imo State is among the so-called one of the 10 richest states, you know, in terms of its revenue base and GDP. But if you look at the outside being an oil-producing state, palm oil should have been something that is one area I had mentioned that the governor should have taken so much. The other palm, we need to also not look at all these things. Because, Nancy, if you're looking at oil, that's also my advice to the South State and every other person. The world is getting into renewable energy. That even if you look at it now, the importation from our country is getting...
our oil may just get...
Yes, and I told you, remember what I said one time that you laughed. You remember what I said one time that you laughed on this show. It's going to get to the level where, you know, when we lived in Lagos, somebody will be carrying oil and we say, buy oil to you'll be carrying it because not every person, even India you're looking at, India is trying to partner with Brazil for the biofuel. So we must begin to look at it.
By 2025, some countries will
some
be
countries, Norway, the Scandinavian countries
Norway,
have said that they were not going to.
Even the UK, I think.
I expect that Imo State being an oil-producing state, which gives it so much revenue. But look at Abia State. Area market has been rated as not the largest market in, is it West Africa or Africa? It's doing pretty well. I also need to plead with whoever that is going to be there. Okay, Zikwas is trying to do that. Create an enabling environment for the people to thrive. It's not a question of producing something in Aba, putting that the thing was actually made in Italy. The best of the shoes, even the one I'm wearing, I bought the shoe from Aba. And everyone seems to like it. So even when you're looking at Ebonyi State as being a poor state, Ebonyi State has so much natural resources.
Yes. There is a salt lake in Ebonyi State, somewhere
called... Kalago, I think Kalago should be in Ebonyi State.
Is it? No, Kalago is in Enugu State.
There's one...
There is a salt lake.
Most times people get there. No, Kalago is in Enugu. But they have so much of the natural resources.
They have so much of the
all
natural
resources. There's a lake in
Ebonyi State, just salt water.
So finally, you don't have to listen to what the people say. You just have to listen to also the things that will provide that sustainable economy for your state. But finally, Nancy, we have those who have the oversight to look at. You also going to have, I'm sure you're not talking about the Houses of Assembly elections coming up. What are those people going to do? Look at what is happening in the United States, Nancy. Are you not really, that even the vote on the emergency that is coming up at the Senate, most Republicans are going to vote against Donald Trump. That builds, and Nigeria is always saying, we are copying the United States. It's a presidential system of governance. Already some people are saying that even when they have not constituted the Senate of our country, we're going to have a robust session where everything the president brings passes. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. That's why nobody's checking the governors and nobody's checking the president.
I think perhaps this new phase that we want, or this new dispensation from March 9 or from May 29, however the case may be, citizens should begin to hold.
The journalists should do a lot of work.
Yes, I agree.
Do a lot of work.
I agree too.
You guys should stop wanting to be the chief press secretary or public relations officer.
Sorry, let me just even
very quickly in 10 seconds, my director.
Adding about people who can keep governance going in the right direction. We also sometimes forget the opposition party. I think they play a very, very big role. My only problem is that just like the followership, they should do that with a little less bias. Let them let them do it critically. Where people have done well, let's say like Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State, the governors are performing, they are doing things. You know, the opposition should acknowledge that. But where we've not done well, they should also point that out.
Okay, very quickly on Twitter, Maju says our universities are geared towards training civil servants, not industrialists. While Hillary says most states in Nigeria are not viable, and with increasing pressure on the oil prices, the overall accruable income might dwindle over